Mine's
So
always
that
so
was
low.
it ended up being a very bizarre segue because what I wanted to talk about was a supplement related conversation,
Oh,
but it's also a broader conversation.
okay.
It's about a woman who used to be a professional poker player. Okay. Very pro woman. I'd say feminist, but in all the best ways. Without, I wouldn't use a negative connotation with the phrasing of feminism. Very pro woman.
Very pro woman. Okay.
Professional poker player years ago, Kate Hall. And she,
I never met her.
no, you didn't. So I'll tell you my story with her real quick. Like I said, she got into it with me on Twitter several times, right? Like didn't like me.
Well, what do you know?
Didn't like me. I'm like,
Just
okay,
kidding.
well, not everyone's going to like you, right? And then I want to say to her credit, and this goes into the story too. To her credit, she saw me at the World Series one day at a table next to hers. And I was talking to the table, having fun with people, whatever. Then the break came and she walked up to me. She's like, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah.
I said, sure. She's like, I just want to apologize because I feel like I just characterized you, which is easy to do. When you see like a Twitter profile and there's no personal, connection to people, you can clearly characterize people as like villainous,
Especially
evil,
like
and all this
celebrities.
kind of stuff. And then
Yeah.
she saw like that I wasn't that. I was affable and friendly with people, whatever like that.
Yeah.
And I hugged her. And I was like really thankful that she did that. And I also I had a lot of respect for that too, because nobody likes to admit, that they're wrong or anything along those
I said that
lines.
the other day on Twitter. No one likes to be wrong.
Nobody likes to. But she, this is why I bring this up because it's important because of what she wrote in this Substack that she wrote. And she sort of, it said it pained her to write this as someone who is a feminist, right? She said she always believed that the reason that, women were not as proficient at poker was societal, was based on upbringing and these different type of things. And she dispelled like the biological argument. That there's
Okay.
anything biologically different about males and females that would make men better at poker.
Like their brains?
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything biological, right?
Okay.
We obviously know with physical stuff, yes. But she always was like, why would we have, ladies events if it makes no sense? Like when we have equal brains, right?
Yeah.
So then she describes in the Substack, and I don't want to ruin the whole thing, but I'll give you the gist of it. She turned over 40. She's happily married to her husband, but she found her libido was going down.
Yep.
And then she just was like, what's going on? So she went to a doctor. Doctor said, you have very low testosterone.
And I called what it was right away. Perimenopause.
Yeah. So she said, yeah, very low testosterone. Okay. So they put her on a supplement. So now she's taking testosterone.
Yep.
And one of the first thoughts she had was, oh my God, I wish I had this when I was playing poker. Because what she experienced, she said, was energy increase, output, doing stuff, mental clarity, no brain fog, a whole bunch of benefits from going from low testosterone to better. So, so she sort of saw how much that benefited her and then wondered like, okay, what's one of the main differences hormonally between men and women? We don't lose our testosterone levels like women do.
Oh yeah. Our hormones are like a roller coaster.
Like women will go down like 50% and men will only go down 15 or something like that by the time they're 50. So I thought the article was really interesting. And I think, again, very brave of her because when it comes from someone like her, who's like, she's got a track record of being very pro women. She's not mocking
I don't
this,
think it makes her less pro women.
it doesn't. It doesn't at all. But you see, some people and she was afraid of this. She was afraid that people were going to use the piece to say, see, I told you, women are dumb. Men are the best. Like, well, that's why women, but that's not at all what, but some people will use that, like assholes, right? Misogynistic pricks.
Yeah.
But I thought, because I've always wondered, like, that's always the question that comes up is like, why don't more women play poker? Because it's 5 to 8% since I started, what's the reason?
But that's an older thing though. Like she's doing this and she's older. I was looking this up last night about testosterone. Like a 20-year-old girl just can't just be taking testosterone. It's not time yet. You still have too much. You shouldn't just take it.
Right.
Like it can actually be harmful to take it when you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's not like all women should just be like, hey, let's put this little tablet in our arm or whatever. It's like a pellet that you put in your ass, I think is what it is. Like they put it like right under your skin. And it's really good for people who are in perimenopause, meaning pre-menopause.
Mm-hmm. What was I saying before you cut me off? Because I was right in the middle of a thought and then
like you don't cut me off every 5 seconds of this podcast?
I was just saying, I was on a thought and I thought maybe you'd remember.
No, I don't.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well.
You were saying that she was like women in poker, if they just had this.
Oh, I was saying how so the people always ask the question, like why are women not more representative in poker? And I always use the example of like, okay, you think of romance novels. 92% of romance novels are sold to women. But the industry doesn't go, what can we do to be more appealing to men, you know? And what she dismissed is like, you know, the idea that it's like, oh, just, it's not about being nicer to women at the table. It's not about making a more welcoming environment. A lot of it likely has to do with some biological differences in terms of what our interests are, right? Like you take a little girl and you take a little boy and you put toys, right? Generally speaking, not always, generally speaking, the girls are going to play with the more feminized toys and the boys play with the more male toys. And you know this because there's these couples. It's funny. There's like a whole forum of this. And I've seen some of these posts from parents who want to raise their kids gender neutral, right? Gray toys, no female, no male, or whatever, right?
Gray toys.
Yeah, basically like gray toys, you know, like bland beige gray toys. And then they always get frustrated, like, I don't know what's going on.
I love a gray
Every time
room.
my daughter goes over to her friends, all she wants to play with is the dolls. And my son wants to play with the trucks. And you wonder why that is. You know, it could just be a thing. So I think like, you know, coming back to the poker thing, it's like, it's a question of men and women have, generally speaking, again, you have to generalize everything, different interests, right? Like we're not interested in all the same things. And there is crossover, but I don't think there's a magic pill to say, okay, like what is the goal? To get women to be 50% of the poker pop? I look at it this way. If you want to grow poker, just grow poker and more women will play. Because percentage base, I got so much shit for saying this years ago. Since I started in poker in the late 90s to today, the percentage of women playing has not moved.
Right.
It's been between 5 and 10% since I started playing. Now, when you think about that though, when I started playing versus now, there's so many more people playing, which means what? Because people say, well, there's more women playing. Well, yeah, there's more people playing, right? Yeah. So like one out of every, 8 to 10 people you're going to see is a woman.
Make him stop.
But anyway, I think it was a very interesting read. She posted on her Substack.
So was she saying though that women have different interests and that's what she thinks now? Or
she wasn't
is she saying that like hormonally,
she believes
if we all took this thing.
She believes, I think she clearly believes. One of the things she said too, which I thought you would appreciate, is like, people talk about willpower, like it's the skill. She's like, biology over, it's like science over biology every time, right? Like, she's like, you can say you have watch all these motivational things, whatever, but like give her the testosterone and she's moving, she's getting shit done or whatever.
That's a true thing with a lot of different things.
So I guess her ultimate take is that testosterone helps aid with mental clarity, especially as women get older. She talked about that too. Like what happens with a lot of women when they move up in the corporate world is they're sharper when they're younger, right? Mm-hmm. And then like they finally get these leadership positions, but by that point, their testosterone levels are dropping, which is causing brain fogs or whatever, and it's not happening to the men.
Yeah.
Right? So there can be like, so it appears as though, well, this woman finally got the job, like, why is she struggling, whatever the case may be. And I feel like we should be allowed to have these conversations without everyone thinking it's misogynistic. It's just like, the fact is, if a scientist looks at your body or my body or his body 100 years from now, just the bones, they'll tell you if it was a male or a female. They know.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So we're different. Like we have different parts.
Our pelvis is different.
We have different, but our hormones.
That's where you see it the most, like in your pelvic area. Mm-hmm. It's different.
So it's only natural to think, okay, well, maybe there's just some differences in terms of, the way our brains work too, right? Like women generally, I saw this study where like women generally do better in roles that require a lot of speaking, like PR roles and things like that. They're just better at it. Men typically more in like these solitude in front of a computer for 3 days. They can do that. Whereas that's not like
I'd rather do that.
That's you're unique, but that's like a job that, but you wouldn't like the repetitiveness of it though. That would drive you crazy.
No, I don't, sounds, how mine's different.
Yeah. But like with numbers, you don't.
No, I hate numbers. I hate everything to do with math.
You hate anything.
Math can go right out the fucking door.
You hate math. This is why when you're studying, by the way, congratulations. I'm proud of you. You've been kicking ass.
Thank you.
Working really hard, getting a lot done.
Getting all this science prereqs done.
Microbiology and chemistry.
Yeah, I already did microbiology 10 years ago, but they say if it's been 10 years, you got to redo it.
And why do you have to take chemistry?
I'm on organic chemistry right now. It's different.
What do you need that for?
Because you have to go into medicine.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, you have to. Although, like, you're not going to use any of that stuff that you just have to do it. I have an A-. I'm all right with it.
Nice job.
You know what I mean?